And that's how we start the stream.
Oh my God. He does this on purpose. Makes me laugh just before we do that. That's a good one. I made a comment about it. We should have a little gingerbread cookie, with a bite out of him or missing a leg or something. And he said, yeah, he lost it in nom.
Nom nom.
Oh my God.
I broke her. I broke her first thing.
He broke me first thing, right off the bat. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's going to be one of those days. Honest to God.
Lack of sleep does some things.
Yeah, it does. I did not sleep much last night. So, where was I? Oh, yes. Hi.
We're back.
We're back. It's been a busy few weeks. I have been teaching an awful lot. Hence, we haven't really been doing lives. I've just been posting a few pre-recorded videos, which works, but I much prefer this. But I had a great time with the group at Art Waves. Wonderful students, wonderful teachers, and to Audrey DeJong at Coast to Coast events. They always put together something really great, and we had a really wonderful time. A little smaller than we've probably seen in the past, but it made it really nice because it gave you the opportunity to connect with students, which was really, really nice. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And then last weekend, I just had a blast with the Hoot chapter from Ohio. We had 3 days of painting, laughing, and giggling, and I thoroughly enjoyed that too, although I really missed you guys. So I'm glad to be back into something that resembles a normal routine, finally, because it's been wonky. Picked up COVID beginning of October, and everything's been out of whack ever since. So I think I'm finally getting back into the groove. I do have a shout out this week. This one, I got an amazing goodie box last week, and I do mean amazing goodie box that came from CD Wood Cupboard Distributing, and they have some beautiful new surfaces. And one of the things that they just put out that I thought was really cool, I have shape makers, but Chris Hoy has got a really cool tool. She's got a series of these little design tools that have gingerbread cookies, candies, candy cane stripes, little tools to make all of those little details a whole bunch easier. So go and check those out at Cupboard Distributing on their website at cdwood.com. You're going to love the cool stuff that they've got on there this week. And I'm pretty sure they're doing another Facebook sale shortly just for the holidays. So watch Facebook for their upcoming sales because they're always really great. Lots of really cool stuff. I've got one of their surfaces right here I'm going to show you. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about this. 'Tis the season. Glitter.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He's not looking forward to it. No. I am. I get excited about it. Yeah. I was digging through my stash, and one of the things that I absolutely love at Christmas time, I love delicate glitter. The stuff is just the bomb, basically. This is Glamour Dust. It's my absolute favorite glitter. And then I had forgotten, they also make it in gold. So, and both of these are available at your local Michael's store. They're also available at Hobby Lobby and at Joann. But at this time of the year, they come off the shelves really, really fast. So if you're low, if you're running out, don't forget, check out your favorite craft and hobby stores for some Glamour Dust, because it's not the holidays without it. I love my Glamour Dust.
Linda Zafranco says, poor Renee. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Feel for me.
It has only just begun.
Oh, we have new blood.
We have new blood? Oh, no.
Judy Farmer.
Oh, yes. I spoke with Judy.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. She had a concern about something to do with one of her orders, and she gave me a call the other day.
All right.
So I gave her a call back. So it was really nice. She's a lovely lady. She's in what I'm going to say this wrong. Wasilla, Alaska. Yeah.
Right on.
So, Judy, thanks for joining us. I'm so glad to have you here. This was another find this last couple of weeks. I've been looking for things to do RIK pins with, and I found some really good deals at Michael's, of all places. Lately, they haven't seemed to have a whole lot, but I did find these. They have these packages of little wood surfaces.
There's a good glare off coming off that. So.
Oh, okay. There's a package of 16 pieces in this. And the price was pretty flippin' good. I thought it was marked on here, but it isn't. But it was, in the neighborhood of $6.99.
Hey.
So, great for making gifts. Good size for coasters. You could drill a hole in it, make it into ornaments, whatever you wanted. And then I found these. Again, these would make great ornaments. And again, pack of 16, and they were in that, $5 range. Lots of great surfaces for a really great price.
And then this.
And then this. I'm in love with this. Then again, not really surprising because I really love the, those arched panels. This is from Cupboard Distributing. I cannot wait to play with this. This one's going to be fun. So I have a winter piece in mind for this. So I'm excited about that. So lots of really cool surfaces popping up at Michael's that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And even better, you get a whole bunch of them in one pack. So they're inexpensive. And you can get a lot of painting done. So I was excited about those two pieces. And then I got Happy Mail in the last couple of weeks, and I haven't been live, so I haven't really talked about it. But one of the ladies that was in one of my classes at Art Waves, every time I've taught a class at Art Waves, she's in at least one of my classes. She's an absolutely wonderful lady. Her name is Betty Newhouse. Betty, if you're watching, mwah. She, during the pandemic, got into working with wire and beads, and she sent me the most wonderful little gift. In her note, she said that for someone who's traveled so much, she thought this was appropriate. This is just amazing. It's a little globe, all done with wire twists. Isn't that fascinating? I love this. So this is going to be sitting on my desk. And then I love anything to do with bees, and she made me this. This is so stinking cute. It's a plant poke, and it's got a little bumblebee hanging on the bottom with the sun. So this is going to go in my vase of paper daisies. That was another gift from another painter, and I love this. And then she knows my love of skulls, so she said, I think this is fabulous. This is a little piece of rose quartz carved into a skull. Little teeny tiny thing. Betty, these are going to sit on my desk. I absolutely love them. Thank you so much for thinking of me. This stuff just does me in every time. I get just lots of fuzzies, warm fuzzies. I love these. So thank you. I love it. I love the skull. The skull sits on my desk. I noticed that it's got holes. Goes in one side and out the other, so it's a boy skull.
She made that joke earlier.
I did. He didn't laugh then either. He laughs now. So today we're going to be painting La Belle Tulip. I wanted to do something a little bit different, but not a lot different, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But I wanted to cover a technique that we haven't really done on a live, and that's image transfer. It's one of those techniques that people really struggle with. I have a technique for doing it that simplifies things a little bit, makes things a little easier, and I like the results. The other thing is that by doing this method in the design that we're doing is that even if you make a mistake, it's okay. It's going to work as far as the overall design is concerned. So you needn't get too bothered about the fact that something didn't sit the way it was supposed to, or something rubbed off. You don't have to worry about it because it's going to fall into the design, I promise you. So we're going to be working on this piece. It is called La Belle Tulip. And if you guys are ready to get started, so am I. Then you can tell me whether or not I'm in the shot.
You are dead center.
Oh my goodness. Hit it out of the park first time?
First shot.
That never happens.
I don't know what you did.
So this is
that extra sleep helped.
I mean the second one or the third one?
Oh. I'm gonna go with the third ish.
So this is La Belle Tulip. I love this. There's something about this that is just pretty and elegant. So I thought, well, we got to do something with a stencil because it's me. And then we have to do something with a stamp. because it's me. And then it has to be. And then something in French because I'm enamored with all things French. I married one. So, I know, I just think that this is a pretty and elegant piece, even though it has this sort of rustic feel in the background. I like the juxtaposition. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the technique for this is super easy. And I cheat in a couple of places, and we have a lot of fun with that cheat. So
you forgot something.
What did I forgot? Again, I always forget that. He's pointing at the envelopes.
It was Linda Safranco.
Oh, thank God for her. I'd forget my head if it wasn't attached. Giveaways this week. We have 4. We usually only do 3, but I have 4 this week. We have 2 Be Kind bags. They're just a little artist's pouch with a fun little applique that says Be Kind, and it's full of Tombow products. So there's some Tombow mechanical pencils and some specialty erasers and a few other goodies that we throw in as well. And then the other 2 are art stuff bags, and that is filled with some art stuff, obviously. And some Dynasty Stencil Pro stencil brushes. So we have got 4 really nice giveaways this week. So we're going to do that. Renee's got to. And speaking of giveaways.
Oh, God. Should I switch cameras so you can talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Before we get started on the painting.
Okay.
Because this is a big one.
It is a big one. Next Saturday is our 12 Days of Christmas live. I started packing giveaways this week. I hit 55 yesterday, and I still have at least that to go. I don't know that we're going to get all of those done for the 12 Days of Christmas. I think through the month of December, we're going to have perhaps more giveaways than we normally do, but for next Saturday, we have at least 55 to give away. That's a lot of giveaways.
So 55 of our viewers will be getting...
At least 55.
At least 55.
I haven't packed the Deco Art giveaways yet. And I haven't packed the Southern Ridge Trading giveaways yet.
Oh, man.
And those are the bigger ones. Oh, and then I have another 3 or 4 brush rolls. Big brush rolls filled with Dynasty Black Gold. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how much stuff is back there.
So, make sure you guys tune in on December 3rd.
And for heaven's sake, bring a friend.
Bring a friend. Double your chances.
Because it's insane how much stuff is back there. We have stamps. We have stencils. Country Bear sent us stencils. We have Stampenda stamps. Beautiful Stampenda stamps. Like, really nice. We have tons of those. We have... surfaces from Southern Ridge Trading, from Cupboard Distributing, from Viking Woodcrafts. Oh my God, I almost forgot that. Painting World Magazine. We have stuff from the Brush Guys. We have stuff from, I don't know. I've written down a list. I lost it, so I'm going by the skin of my teeth here. But I posted it yesterday, and Linda immediately messaged me. She goes, "I'm surprised that the Brush Guys aren't on that list." Well, duh, thank you. So I had to go in and edit it and put the Brush Guys in because I forgot the Brush Guys. How bad would that look?
No kidding.
So, yeah, there is a ton of stuff for next week's giveaways. And we're painting the Home for the Holidays pattern. And that is up. There is a coupon code at the top of the page on the website. That's good until next Friday. So if you're ordering the pattern or any of the kits, whatever you need, use that coupon code. And we're starting 12 noon and going until we either
run out of prizes
or run out of paint.
So, you're not running out of paint.
I'm not going to run out of paint, but you know what I mean. All right.
We'll go till we run out of gas.
Well, out of steam or just fall asleep, whatever. Right. Anyway.
I think we should start painting.
I think we should too.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. I love this piece. I don't know that it'll be a series because I don't really want to do a repetitious thing. I always like to add something that we've never done before. So, but I do love this piece. So this is what we're working on today. And we're going to start with our background, which is pretty simple. I'm working on an 8x8. This is a cradle panel, an artist panel. Order these from michaels.com.
Oh, it's all fuzzy. Give me a second.
Oop, it went fuzzy.
It went fuzzy, I think.
I thought it was just me.
Clean your glasses.
Not when I have a mouth full of tea. How many times do I have to tell you not to say stuff like that when I'm drinking tea?
There we go. I think that should do it.
Nope, wasn't my glasses.
Oh, that black panel is having fun with that sensor.
Yep.
It doesn't know whether it's dark, is it light, is it gray, black, gray, black.
We'll sort it out. So this is the color I'm using for this portion. It's light buttermilk. And I'm using one of my fugly brushes, this Dynasty Encaustic Oval. Now, if you can't get your hands on these, I know that the brush guys have got great sales on. They had an awesome one on Black Gold a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to thin out some of this light buttermilk. It should be fairly watery. And I want mine to go vertically, so I'm going to brush this on vertically. And I'm going to leave those open areas. I like seeing some of those black stripes. So it looks kind of dry. Don't worry if it's incomplete at the edges, that's okay. I'm doing this vertically because I kind of want the wood grain of this to run vertically. And I don't want it to look too chunky, so I just lightly brush over top a little bit. There we go. I think that's good. So I'm going to dry this real fast. It's one of the benefits to using this heated tool is that it will dry my paint real quick, which is what I want. Now I went with the light buttermilk because I wanted this to have a warm tone. It is going to look gray, but I wanted the gray to be a bit more warm. And I love how it stays light without looking bright. It's not a harsh contrast against all that black. There we go. Perfect. And then I did cheat a little bit on this one. You could do this with paint if you wanted to. We're going to use this. It's an Identi-Pen. And yes, I had to read that label to remember it. I'd go get my big ruler. Okay, I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. I left my ruler on my drafting table. So I'm going to put a nice vertical line. I'm going to start with about 3 inches. Just make a little mark. Just because I want them nice and straight, that's all. 3, and then I'm going to come over here and it's going to be about 1.5 inches. Just roughly. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Then I'm going to line up these two. I'm just going to use this Identi-Pen for this. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight either. If it's got little wobbles and bobbles in it, that's okay. It actually works in your favor. There. So now I have boards. Love it. So our next step, we want to enhance these boards, make them pop. I know I have a bottle of asphaltum here somewhere. Surely. I do. Brand new one. I had to go get a new one. So, asphaltum. These little tabs on top. Oh, you found the cookies.
I found the big fringe. Well, that brings back memories.
Yep. So we're going to make these boards stand out a little bit. I'm going to do that with a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to heavily thin it. I don't want it super strong.
Wanda was wondering what type of brush you're using.
The one I'm using right now is a Dynasty Faux Squirrel. It's a 1/2 inch angle. These ones are my favorites because they hold a ton of water and a ton of paint. So, little asphaltum. Something didn't look right, but I think it's just me. Maybe it's the lights. So I'm going to put a float of asphaltum on either side of those vertical lines. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. This, I find, just gives this, kind of faux grain look or faux burn board look. A little more authenticity so that it doesn't look just flat gray and white. Gives it a warmer tone. And then I'm going to do the same thing all the way around the outside edge of this panel. Comme ça. And I think I would switch to a bigger one. I can't reach my faux squirrel one, so I'm going to use my black gold. There we go. That's better. I needed a bigger brush for that area. So I'm going to do the vertical lines first. I'm going to dry it, and then I'll do the top and the bottom, just so I don't cut into my fresh float. And then I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black just to give this a little more realism.
I don't think we can answer that question, Deborah.
Which Deborah?
Schwartz.
Oh.
She's wondering approximately
Okay.
how many brushes do you have?
Oh. Approximately?
You know what? There's Mom. That's what she uses on the regular. That cart is full of brushes.
That you can hardly see.
And then there's an entire room full.
Yeah.
It's a lot of brushes.
I have several.
1,000.
Yeah. The ones that I use on a daily basis usually fit in one little cup. But having said that,
How many cups are there?
one. I have one.
I'm looking at the cart.
I know. Shush. Those are not cups. Those are cutlery dispensers. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus a bucket and then another bucket. So lots. That's just the easiest way to describe it. I have lots. I have lots and lots of brushes. I have many brushes. So I'm just taking a little bit of that little excess that's left on my palette. And I'm just going to put a very thin wash of asphaltum, very thin, over my surface. There. This works for me. It's just to soften it, warm it up a little bit so it doesn't look quite so harsh, I think is the word I was looking for. There we go. I'm going to dry this. We're going to put a little bit of lamp black on my palette. That's a first. Tiny little drip drop of paint. And then I'm going to use that same angled shader and I'm going to put a little, just thinned lamp black. I don't want it full strength. I want it a little on the transparent side. And we're going to age the edges of this a little bit. So this is just heavily thinned lamp black. And I'm just going to put a little float along the bottom. And you'll notice that I'm letting it do some of its own work. Here we go. So when I pull the brush like that, it's very choppy. You notice what it does? It follows some of those little stria. Remember those little lines that we put in with the brush on the first pass? It's connecting to those. And so it gives us that heavily distressed appearance. And I'm going to do the same at the other top. I like it on the top. I don't worry too much about the edges. But at top and bottom I do like because it connects to those stria in the finish. And then, this is the fun part for me. I love doing this. I'm going to take a round brush or a rigger and I'm going to come along the edges with my round, with a little bit of that thinned black, just a little. I don't want to look too chippy or too heavy. But then when you do the same thing along the bottom, it really does add a lot of texture to this. You don't have to be heavy or aggressive with it, just a little bit. But it helps create that sort of ragged, worn edge of the wood. And check so. I just like how this looks. It's an easy way to get a really heavily distressed look with minimal effort, because honestly, this does not take much. And don't really think about it. Don't worry about whether or not, is it connecting? Don't worry about it. Just literally scribble some on. And that gives you that, more aged, more distressed appearance with very little effort. Now in the pattern, I put in multiple image transfers in there just because not everybody's going to like this particular one, and some of them are a bit more interesting. There's a bit more graphic work done in them. Some of them have a very heavy vintage feel, some not so much. Some are more elegant in nature, and others are a little more hard-edged. And it all depends on what your taste is. And all of them are work. I've sized them all so that they will fit in this particular surface. So you can use whichever ones you want. It must be a laser photocopy or a laser print. This does not work with an inkjet. Inkjet inks are water-based, and so they will just smear and run. You need something that is toner-based, like this, and this is a photocopy. And you're going to cut it out as close as you can get. So it doesn't have to be right up to the edge, but, close. So I've cut mine out. And this one is just done on a home printer, a laser photocopier, laser printer.
Is that mirrored?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The image has been flipped. Has to. You don't have to, if you're doing an image transfer of a thing, as long as it doesn't have writing or numbers on it, it doesn't have to be flipped. But if it is written, then you have to make it backwards so that when you do the image transfer, it's legible. So, which is easily done in a document. Just literally click on one side of the image, pull it over, it'll flip over. Or you can flip it right in the drop-down menus. So, this is how easy this is. We're going to be working with matte medium because I love matte medium. But you can also work with decoupage medium. I know I have some here. The one that I recommend is working with one that has a matte finish. If it's a gloss, you're going to be cursing it until the cows come home. It will work. It will still do a beautiful image transfer. The downside is that painting or transferring a line drawing onto it afterwards is a nightmare. So you can use, this is DecoArt Americana's Decoupage, which is the matte version. This one is really good. This one is one of my favorites. There is also an exterior version of this that works beautifully. So if you want to use an image transfer on something that's going outside, you can use the exterior version of this. Works just great. You can use the Competitions brand. It will also work just fine. And again, I cannot stress enough to get the matte version because you will drive yourself nuts with a gloss. Even though it'll work, you will have a hard time painting over it. But this is the one that I use the most. I like this one for a couple of different reasons. One, it dries to a dead flat, which makes the image much easier to work with. It also is very smooth, creamy, and light. It brushes on really, really nicely, levels nicely. So this one is going to work exceptionally well.
I got two questions.
Okay.
Crystal Hendricks is wondering is there a specific kind of paper to use for this?
The cheapest copy paper you can get your hands on.
There you go.
And the reason I say that is that a higher quality paper is thicker and heavier, and it's going to take an awful lot more work to get it off. And we are going to remove the paper. So you don't want to drive yourself up the wall by spending 4 hours scrubbing paper off. So the cheapest paper you can get your hands on is the best.
The next question comes from Tina. She bought the Factus Black Eraser.
Yes.
She's wondering what the white Factus Black Eraser is used for.
The Factus, it's just a standard eraser. It's great for graphite and charcoal. The Factus Black is primarily for dark backgrounds, dark papers, dark painted surfaces. And it works beautifully on white paper as well, but on darker surfaces, it removes that tendency to polish the background. which really stands out on black paper or black painted
So
surfaces.
wouldn't recommend using the white one on a black surface.
The white one doesn't transfer. It will work,
Okay.
but it has a tendency to polish the surface a little.
Aha.
That's all.
Where the black one does not.
The black one does not.
Right on. Hopefully that answered all your questions. I don't see any others here. That was YouTube. Trying to keep up with Facebook, but it's scrolling
Yeah, at Mach 5.
at Mach 5.
So I'm working with this. This is matte medium. And I'm going to brush a coat on in the general area that this image is going. So I want it even. I don't want gobs of it on there because you're going to end up fighting against it. And then I've got my little mister. This is just water, little distilled water. And I'm just going to lightly mist the paper on the back and the front. And of course it curled right up. There we go. And so I'm going to lay this just damp paper into the medium on my surface. Of course, I missed it. There we go. And I'm going to press it into place. Try to keep it level. That's always helpful. And then I'm going to grab my brayer. Where's my brayer going? There we go. Got my mini brayer. And I'm going to use the brayer to seat this. And then I'm wiping any excess that comes out. I wipe it off because you don't want it on the back of the paper, because if it's on the back of the paper, you are going to have a hell of a time getting this off. There. So I have in my hands one of these. This is a, what do they call that? Microfiber. These things come in a bundle, a box full, like a giant box of Kleenex.
The box of rags?
The box of rags. This is just microfiber. It's white. It's fairly lint-free. These are actually pretty good that way. You're going to get it wet because you're going to wipe away the excess matte medium that is on your surface. Like so. Just do it gently so that you're not pulling the paper off yet. So you just want to make sure that you get that excess off, because it's going to make your life a misery if you don't. So I've got that on there. So now it's time to dry that paper. It needs to be on there nice and tight. So I misted this for a couple of reasons. One, paper has a tendency to stretch when it gets wet. And when it does that, you end up with bubbles and blisters and ripples and folds in the paper. So a light mist just to moisten the paper before you lay it into that medium will allow the paper to stretch. And when you roll it, all of those bubbles and blisters and whatnot are going to disappear because you're pressing that paper down. And then when you dry it, the paper shrinks back and it forms a nice tight, smooth finish. So now I'm using my heat gun to dry this because I want this really good and dry.
Andrea George is wondering if the Americana Decor image transfer medium, does this work the same way?
It does,
Yeah.
yes. I love that stuff.
Well,
And here's the tip. It's just a bigger jar of this.
There you go.
Yep. It's a bigger jar of that. It's, they've made a slight alteration to the resin in it for furniture, but yes, it works exactly the same way. And this is a favorite technique of mine. I love using image transfer. So, goodness.
It's okay, Bonnie. We can deal with an angry face. She says, sorry, my finger hit the angry button. I was watching Tracy intently and I didn't mean to hit it. Sorry. It's all good. We can deal with a couple angry faces. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, we got big shoulders. So you want this really good and dry because you're going to get it wet. And if it's not really good and dry, it's going to literally peel right off of there. Generally, give it a couple of hours if you're just going to leave it to dry. If you're using the heat gun, usually within a couple of minutes, it's pretty good. So this looks pretty good to me.
Will a blow dryer work?
It will. It's just going to take a lot longer. That's all. So I have my microfiber cloth here, and it is quite wet. So now, since I've gone to all the trouble to dry this, now I'm going to wet it again. But my intent is different. I am using a very light touch. I am washing the baby's face, not scrubbing the kitchen floor. That's what you have to keep in mind. So it's a light touch, moist, and you'll notice the paper is starting to
pill.
So it rolls off.
I learned that one. It's called pilling.
It's called billing. Yeah. So it's a gentle touch. You're just going to rub. I use a circular fashion. You can use whatever method works for you. I like the circular fashion because it's gentle.
Sammy McDeer just made that the quote of the day.
What?
Washing the baby's face, not scrubbing the kitchen floor.
In other words, it's a light, gentle touch. Doesn't need to be.
Tina!
What?
Tina just donated $5.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Tina. I just saw that in the super chat. Where'd it go?
Here. So, as I'm scrubbing this, you notice that the lettering is starting to show. Now, mine is still a little bit fragile. And this is why I say if you do this gently, work and continue to move across the surface. If you stay in one place too long, a couple of things happen. One, you tend to get a little aggressive. And two, the adhesive that you just put down, all that matte medium, becomes resaturated. It gets soft and sticky, and then you end up scrubbing the image off. So make sure that you continue to move around the image. And then once it's exposed, as it is in this case, you can see that it's coming up quite clear. Move on to another area. So I've got pilling. I'm going to move to another portion of my cloth.
And those of you who are new here, if you do end up donating or sending us stars through Facebook, all the proceeds go to our local SPCA to help feed doggos and puppers. Yep.
Doggos, puppers, and kittens.
And the kittens.
And what other critters that end up there.
I've actually found the breakdown from the SPCA.
Yep.
Thanks to a fellow at work.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much the SPCA spends on spays and neuters?
No.
Believe it or not, per dog.
Yeah.
Males, it's $10. $10 gets them neutered.
Yeah.
And spays are $25.
Cool.
So they obviously have a good deal with
the local vet.
The
yeah,
local
I would
vets.
say, yeah.
So every little bit helps.
Yes.
And with winter and Christmas coming,
yep,
please be careful when adopting your dogs, especially as a Christmas gift.
Yeah. I've always thought that the holidays was a difficult time to bring an animal into a house because it's just chaos.
Yeah.
You know.
And you don't know what you're getting into. Yeah, they're cute.
Yeah, they're adorable and it's sweet, but it's,
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And at the holidays, it's difficult for everybody. So I'm just going to wipe the excess off. This is the downside to doing image transfer. It makes a mess.
Is there an alternative cloth that can be used for this?
You know what? A little piece of terry cloth will work fine. Old t-shirts work fine. I accidentally ordered these.
And you know what? They're awesome.
I had ordered shop towels. I wanted a big bin of shop towels. And this is what I got, was like 5 million of these microfiber things, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll tell you, they work like a hot damn when you're doing image transfer. So as you can see, this image is popping up rather nicely. I'm going to look at that. So again, I'm being very gentle with this to remove that excess paper. And then we're going to dry it again. And this part you can do with a hairdryer.
And Juju says, "Oh my God, I don't think I'm ever painting lettering again."
So I'm going to hit this with a dryer, and I want you to watch. You notice that there's still like a fuzzy film on there, and that's just paper fiber. So I'm going to dry this so that we can see how much we need to remove, but it also serves a purpose, is that it dries that adhesive again so that it's now we can work at it some more without damaging what we've already done. So look at that. Not bad. Still a fair amount of paper. So out comes our wet cloth yet again.
JL is, I don't know how it removes the paper, but not the ink.
Well, that's just it. The toner is stuck in the medium. The paper softens and releases. So I'm just removing the excess paper, all of that fiber that is remaining.
It's the magic of matte medium.
I love matte medium. Best thing since sliced bread. And if you're looking for some, Miss Sandy, I know you're watching. If do you still have matte medium in stock?
We'll go see Sandy if she's got it.
Yeah. She may still have some of this in stock. It is the best thing since cookies. And I'm going to show you a few other things you can do with this today. Matte medium is fabulous. It's that do everything stuff. It's like my Joe Sonias. We'll do all sorts of cool things. So that second wash took care of the bulk of the fiber. I'm going to dry it one more time just to make sure that I've got all of it. It is looking pretty good.
And Sandy says, I do. And if they use Tracy M, when they will get a discount too.
Nice.
At SandyMcTierDesigns.com.
Yep. Best stuff since sliced bread, that matte medium. Okay, so I still have a little bit of fiber in a few places, but I'm going to show you a trick. So we're done with the cloth for the time being. We're going to use our fingers for this last little bit because your fingers are going to tell you whether or not everything is off. So I'm going to use just the tip of my fingers and a little bit of water. And I'm just going to gently, in a circular fashion, rub the surface. And you can feel the paper roll off. So we got a little bit here.
This is definitely not a one and done procedure.
No, this one takes a little bit of time, but it is worth it. There we go. What I love about this is that a lot of the time when you're working with this, you're going to get little breaks in the finish. Like you can see, let me lift this up. There's a few little spots here, little breaks in the finish where that is actually where the toner did not stick. And so it works really nicely and it gives it an authentic distressed look as opposed to something that you've, worked tirelessly at achieving.
Sorry, I think I missed a step. Does this need to be printed on a laser or inkjet printer?
Laser. Inkjet is a water-based ink, so it's not going to work. You need something that's going to embed, and the toner-based printers, whether they're laser or a photocopier, work the best. I am going to put the print version of this pattern available on the website today, and we print them all using laser copiers and laser printers. So my intent is in the print version to put a couple of extra copies in. There we go. That's the other thing. So on my website, all of the print patterns are drastically reduced because I've got too many in inventory. So,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge.
DecoArt is having a sale on their website this weekend.
Yeah.
Black Friday event.
So once you have, doesn't that look cool?
That's awesome.
So once you have all of that done, you're going to take your matte medium and you're going to seal that in. You notice that I am putting on this matte medium following the same pattern as the wood grain that I did. That way, if there's any brush marks remaining, they just fall into the design. So, nice coat of matte medium over top of everything. And we'll dry that.
I have the wrong printer. I'm just going to use a stencil.
Okay.
Yeah, that
A
works.
stencil works too.
Yeah.
This is a fun technique and it works really well on a variety of things. Almost any painted surface you can do an image transfer on.
It's cheaper than buying a laser printer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Using a stencil is cheaper.
But honestly, you can take your pattern sheet, your printed version off of your printer to a local Staples, and they'll make you a couple of copies using a laser photocopy.
Mary Lynn Healy just sent 50 stars from Facebook.
Nice, thank you. So almost dry. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun with a stencil and a stamp. And there is our image transfer.
Oh, jeez. Chat's bumping today.
So I have stamp pad. You knew this was coming. Cancellation stamp.
Of course.
I'm using my grunge set for this because I like my grunge set.
CD Wood is also having a great sale on their laser cut surfaces today.
Mm-hmm. They are indeed. CD Wood is great. I love their surfaces. They
That's
do a
why
great
there's a
job.
shout out today.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've got my vintage note stamp. I took a couple of pieces out of my grunge set, and I've got this is my vintage note. I'm just using a Stays-On stamp pad for this. I just want to put a little bit here and there. I don't want a ton of it. I'm kind of, you know me, I'm partial to this. I like that script element. And I like little bits of it. You notice I don't use the whole stamp. I just use pieces. There we go. And
Kathy
then
is wondering if there is a stencil for that design.
for this one here, no, there is not. I've used this one quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is from, I've used this, I've hand painted this. I've used it quite a lot, but I do not have a stencil for it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should. There are people asking for it.
So I'm just tucking a few little elements in here and there. Nothing. I don't want to do a ton of it. I don't want to take away from what we've spent. But oh my gosh, my favorite element. Hello. Almost forgot. I love. If you've never painted anything of mine, I have a minor obsession with cancellation stamps.
You got a lot of addictions.
Yes. Fortunately
Or
for
obsessions.
you.
Sorry, not addictions. Obsessions.
Fortunately for you, I'm obsessed with my children too. So
Yay! I survive another day.
you do. More through luck than good management.
You need a little battery vacuum. We have one.
I have one.
Where is it?
It's on your desk. I think it's in the drawer thingy.
Yes.
The tray. Yeah. But yes, this is wet. Little vacuum thingy is not going to be much use.
There it is. I found it.
Yeah.
There it is. Somebody sent this to us.
Yes. One of our viewers probably watched me sweeping eraser thingies off my table and decided I needed this. But this is really cool. It's a little vacuum cleaner for my desktop. It stays in the drawer next to
It's a handheld Roomba.
It's a handheld Roomba. So this is one of my favorite pieces, favorite stencils. Miss Sandy and I both spend a great deal of time coming up with ideas for new stencils. And this is one of my favorites. I love this cancellation stamp, and it pops up in a lot of my design work because I like it. So.
And that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know, because of minor obsession. So I'm using a little bit of lamp black. I don't want this full strength. I kind of want this to have a distressed appearance so that it looks a little imperfect. So, and I take it off the page. I don't usually like anything to be, perfectly within the bounds of what I'm painting, because that would be boring. So there we go. I like this little design element. So we have a nice background built. And with that matte medium on there, this is well protected. But what I love is the feel of this. It's nice and smooth. There's no ridges. And everything that we've done before this is protected. So if you make a mistake, because I've got a coat of matte medium down, I can remove my mistake and fix it. So I've got 90% of it off. I can dry it. So it was a little too dark for me. But I love the fact that if I catch it quickly enough, I can remove it completely. So I'm just going to reposition my stencil. Just kind of, sort of where the other one was. And I'm going to be a little more careful about how I apply this color. I got a little heavy-handed. There we go. I wanted this to have more of a distressed feel, and I kind of overworked it. There we go. That's better. So now I'm happy. But I love the fact that if something doesn't look the way I want it to, once I've got a coat of matte medium down, I can go back in and repair it, fix it, get rid of it without damaging all of the stuff that I've already done. Color me happy. So use number 2 for matte medium. Love it. So that's the background. It's not as difficult as it may seem. I know that it's intimidating, but in the end, the little extra work is so worth it. So from this point, you're going to trace and transfer your line drawing on, which is just a tulip. It's a pretty straightforward one. And then you are ready to start painting. Don't you love how those few little steps just pulls that background all together? Love it. So I've done a little bit of prep work because otherwise I'd be here till Christmas if I didn't. So we've got a little bit of gesso in the background on this. If you don't have gesso, you can use warm white, but this is the gesso that I like to use. This is Decor Media's gesso. I love this one. It's a brilliant white. I love the texture of it. It's thick and creamy, and it covers beautifully. And I put 1 coat of gesso down on all elements of this so that we bury, some of this this color that's in the background and some of the texture that's in the background and some of that font, because we want a fairly uniform surface for this design element. So I have 1 coat of gesso on all the leaves and on the petals of this tulip. I love this. And it does look a little ragged just yet, and it will, but it's going to come along really quick. So our colors for this piece, pretty straightforward. We're using antique green for all of the leaves and the greenery. For the petals of the tulip, we're using baby pink. Not a color I use a lot, but I'm particularly fond of it for this one. I wanted something that was going to pair nicely with all of those gray tones. I wanted something that was going to come off as being rich and elegant, and with all the shading tones, and the baby pink won it for me. So we have the baby pink. Our highlighting colors for our leaves is Sprout, which is one of the new colors for 2020 from Deckwart. I love this color. I've been using it an awful lot. So we have Sprout. And the shading color for that pink is Berry Cobbler. I know, huge departure, but you will see what we're doing with it. Also in the flower, we have Lamp Black, this ebony. That is for all of these stamens in here and these deeper shaded places on our tulip. We're going to put a little bit of Lamp Black. And then we have Light Buttermilk, which is going to be one of our highlight colors, and a little bit of Warm White. So aside from a little asphaltum, because I can't paint anything without asphaltum, it seems. So we have a pretty basic color palette for this piece. It's not a ton of color. Again, if you don't have the gesso, a little bit of Warm White, a little bit of Light Buttermilk, either one of those is going to work just fine. So those are our colors for today. I'm just going to clear my, good grief. I have a ton of paint out, and I forgot the shading color. Our shading color for our leaves on this one, I knew there was something missing, is this Plantation Pine. So pretty basic color palette sitting right there. Not a ton of colors, but it works really well in our favor. So Lamp Black, Warm White, Asphaltum, Plantation Pine, Baby Pink, Berry Cobbler, Antique Green or Lush Green, and Sprout. So we have a pretty good color palette. Simple. I prefer simple. Work with what you have. If you don't have Berry Cobbler, just go to a nice deep purpley magenta pink. What's another good one? Razzleberry is a great shading color for baby pink. So if you haven't got all these colors, just look for something that's close. So we're going to start with our leaves on this one. I'm using a little bit of antique green. I grabbed the wrong bottle. Now I've got a coat over top of that gesso, but it's going to need another coat. It looks a little ragged. So antique green, one of my favorite greens. Love this color. So we're going to start with those leaves. It always looks a little ragged till you get that, that couple of good coats on there. Just cleans up edges nicely. Antique green is a little on the transparent side, but surprisingly gives you such a nice deep, lush looking green. Once you've got a couple of coats on, I just love this green, always have. And the new Lush Green, which is very similar, but about a value or two darker, is also a new favorite. I've been using that green an awful lot, as is evidenced by the fact that my one and only bottle is nearly empty. So when you're putting in this green, make sure that you follow the shape of the leaf so that you get, if there's any brush marks or stria, that's going to fall into the shape of the leaf and the pattern of the leaf. There's nothing worse than having lines that go crossways on something that flows in a different direction. Okay, there we go. Love this green. So pretty. Lovely. I don't know. November is always so dreary, and I thought a bright floral would be just the thing for this. Because we're going to be doing Christmas next weekend and Christmas again the following week. I've got a fun little design coming up for the following week. Something quick, something easy that we can do for the holidays. So all of that information will be up on the website tomorrow. So you'll be able to see. I'm finally getting back onto my usual schedule. Getting sick and then teaching commitments kind of messed up my plan. So I'm going to dry this really quick. Miss Deb, my partner in crime, has been busy doing, getting ready for holiday craft sales the last couple of weeks. And so she hasn't really been designing, but the stuff she's been producing is just so stinking cute. Just too cute. Okay, so that's dry. So we need to start separating all of these leaves. I know it just looks like a green blob at the moment. I can see where my lines are, even though they don't necessarily show up on camera. So I'm going to use Dynasty Faux Swirl for this. I just got to rinse out some brushes here. I've got a Dynasty Faux Swirl. I'm using two different sizes. I'm using a 3/8 angle and I'm using a 1/2 inch. Those are my two favorite sizes. I use those the most. So I'm going to start with a float of plantation pine. Again, brush it out well. I don't often use colors full strength. And we're going to start separating and establishing where all of these folds and lines are in our leaves. So this leaf is, this one here, is in behind these two and the stem, and it extends up and behind our tulip. So when I'm putting this float in, I like to get as tight to the edge of that flower as I can get. So it establishes a nice crisp line. And I do the same thing under here. I want that to be a nice crisp line.
Doggo.
Oh, she needed to go.
Yep. He needed a pee. What did I miss?
I don't know. So this leaf here extends in behind the stem and behind this one, so we need to establish where they are. And that's all that this float is going to do. We are not looking to, perfect floats. We are looking just simply to separate all the various design elements here. And then the stem for the tulip goes in behind that front leaf. And then the stem is in front of this leaf. So we have established where they are located. And then this leaf has a fold in it where the leaf bends and kind of twists. So we need to establish that as well. So now we can see where all of those separate elements are placed.
Watching live from Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, from the rock.
Apparently, what's going on with Becca Buckner? Hi all. I had COVID for 7 days. Think I'm on the mend.
Oh, glad to hear that, Becca.
Haven't been that sick in a while.
Yeah, I know. I'm, 8 weeks?
And you're still getting headaches?
I'm still getting headaches, and I still have a cough from time to time. But the headaches are just driving me insane. So, this little leaf has got a nice little center vein. So I need to establish that. So I've got a float of that plantation pine to give us that nice curve, that elongated curve.
Deborah's wondering if you freehand draw your tulips.
Yes. I have several reference books for flowers, botanicals, etc. And I use my reference books. I do a rough or a preliminary sketch, and then I'll do a clean one. And then once I've decided that that's the way I want it, then I'll do probably 8 or 9 drawings before I get to where I want to be. So this leaf has got a center vein as well on the underside, so I'm going to pull that down that way. It always surprises me how quickly these elements come together once you start putting in the layers of shading. And you'll notice I haven't done this yet because this stem has got a shading here where it separates that leaf. And then there's a shadow that runs underneath it, up underneath the flower, where it connects to the blossom.
I guess they don't like the fact that you make floating look so easy.
Oh.
It's not fair.
It takes practice. It takes practice. It comes with practice. That's all I can say. So I've got my first shading in, and I've put in my center veins. So I've established how each of these bends by putting in those shadows. I've established their shape and their placement and where they are in the grand scheme of this design. And then I start cleaning up all of those shadows. And this part is important because this is what makes everything a little smoother. So I've worked with thinned floats for everything. I'm going to thin it again heavily this time because we're going to clean up all of those floats. This is where things get sharp and defined. I never do everything in one go. You need to do things in layers. That's what gives you the depth. That's what gives you all of that nice sharp definition.
I'm surprised you can tell the difference between Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Watching you from Saskatchewan, now just crossed from Manitoba.
Oh, she's obviously in the car.
Yeah, she's traveling.
She's traveling. Well, she has to watch something.
Yeah, there's nothing to do
between
Saskatchewan and
driving from that Yellowhead Highway. Driving across Manitoba into Saskatchewan. I mean, until you see the tree, there's really nothing to look at.
From, I'd say Fort McMurray.
Yeah.
All the way to Kenora.
Yeah, it's grain silos and...
Grain silos and trees.
Yeah, the odd tree.
The odd tree.
Because there's a reason why they call them flatlanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's just boring.
It's flat.
If you take the highway anyway.
Although, I have to say, one of the most beautiful drives in late summer, when all the sunflowers are out.
It is nice.
It is beautiful.
That's if they're growing sunflowers that year.
Yeah. And not soybeans. Or wheat. Although, I have to say, some of the
canola.
wheat... Or canola. Yeah, the wheat fields are beautiful. So, I have essentially just deepened all of my floats. I like doing it in about 3 layers because then it gives you get nice depth out of it. And I like my shadows nice and dark with these greens. It's nice contrast and they're lush. They look lush. So I'm going to dry this and I'm going to throw in a couple of highlights. First highlights. So I'm using a little bit of Sprout. I like this green. It's very yellow, but I like this green. And again, I thin it out quite a bit. It is not full strength. And we're going to start applying a few little highlights. We are not done with the shading yet. I can promise you. So I've got a little highlight on that. These are not going to be perfect floats. Don't worry about it. They're going to look a little chunky and a little rough, and that's okay.
Sorry, not Fort McMurray, Lloydminster.
Lloydminster.
Yeah.
Not Minister, Lloydminster.
Lloydminster.
So there is a light impact point right here where this leaf bends. And it's not a pretty float. It's not even delicate, but this is a light impact point. So when I'm looking at this piece, our light source is over here on the upper left, right about here. I don't know where my happy faces went. I had happy faces. I don't know where I put them. So we want that light impact point right about there. So it's going to be a little brighter. And we're going to have one here as well. And there's going to be one on the stem right there. And you might notice when I'm doing this on the stem, I'm leaving a tiny little gap from the edge of the stem to where that highlight begins. There's a reason. I want to establish that this is curved, that it's round. If I took it right to the edge, it will do that, but this gives you a bit more realism when you do it this way.
Oh, what do we got here? May I ask what the difference between matte medium and sealer is?
Yes, a sealer, well, they're both sealers, but matte medium has a flattening agent in it, so it has no sheen. And so it's used for a couple of things. It has the same resin as your paint. So you can use matte medium, add it to your regular acrylic paint to change the sheen level. So if you have, say, a satin paint and you want it to look more matte, you can add matte medium to it to achieve that without changing the viscosity of the paint.
Cool. What's for dinner?
Tonight we're having pierogi.
Yay. Pierogies.
Pierogia, speaking of Manitoba.
Yeah.
We're having pierogi or pierogies and grilled chicken and roasted Brussels sprouts.
Well, we're having roasted.
We're having roasted. Dad is having green beans. My husband.
I want green beans now.
You can have green beans. So yeah.
I eat what's put in front of me.
I know. Step on your foot and your mouth opens.
Ah.
So I come back in and I'm just going to brighten that impact, those highlights a little bit. This isn't really a float. It's more, I'm just using the chisel edge of the brush to lay down a little bit of color. There we go. And I like a brighter highlight in this. So when I'm doing this, it's almost a dry brush, putting in that little light impact point. So it has more, less of a toll painted look and more of a painterly look. Now we need to have a little bit of reflected light in here. On this bottom leaf here, I'm going to put just a little bit at the base. This just implies that there's something else that has reflected light back to it so that it doesn't look flat. So it's just a little bit. And I'm going to do the same on the underside of this leaf here. Just on the edge.
Have you received any more of the mini holly leaves for the rack?
No, not yet. I haven't. They are available at Southern Ridge Trading, which is chipboard.ca. She's got them up on the website. I am waiting for some, so. So now I'm going to take a little of that sprout. I'm going to add a little bit of warm white to it. I just want a little more opacity and a slightly brighter green. And this is going to be one of our final highlights. So it's quite a bright, more white than green, I suppose. And there's that light impact point right there. Notice that they're all sort of isolated right here. We're going to use a little bit on this leaf. And then, of course, on the top of that flipped over leaf here, we need some as well. And it is not a float. It's almost a dry brush just to get that light impact. There's a little bit there that needs some. And there, whenever you're doing this, you always end up with a few spots where, you know, maybe your highlight color kind of dipped into your shadows. And this is a chance to clean up and crisp up a few things. So wherever perhaps it didn't quite get as sharp as you would like for me, it's this point. I like that nice sharp point, but I don't like that. There we go. Deepen some shadows, sharpen some details a little bit. Just with a little float. So wherever... And I'm going to dry this. And I think I'm happy. We can come back and brighten things and clean up things as well a little later on too. So, oop. There we go. So I've got, thanks Sandy.
What's up?
We were frozen on Facebook there for a second.
Oh, were we?
Yeah. So I'm using a round, and I love this color, this baby pink. Such a pretty color. Not one I use much. Not really a pink person, but I do like my baby pink. So when I'm putting my color on, I have one coat on, but I want to put a little more opacity. You might notice that I pull my stroke towards the center vein. It's just like comma strokes. So it's not technically base coated in the traditional sense. I'm not worried about getting it completely full all the way because I'm going to put my shading color in there. But I want my paint and the lines that that brush creates to follow the shape of that petal. So I'm pulling back towards the center of my flower. I'm going to do this a lot until this is painted because this is how it's also highlighted. So this piece has more of a painterly appearance than a toll painted appearance. So even though it doesn't look it, it is a little on the loose side, so don't panic. So, got my pink. So I just want to get a little pink on the inside of this. Now I took a little bit of lamp black and I established these shadows just with a liner brush. I just tucked in a little bit of lamp black. Just that I didn't have to do it later. So I just get that little coat of baby pink in place. And again, I follow the shape of my petals. And that way, any brush marks just fall into the overall design. You don't have to work too hard to do this one.
Apparently we weren't following.
We weren't following?
Tracy Moreau is now following.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
So just quickly getting this base coat in. What?
My gingerbread man didn't work.
Aww.
He's too small.
Oh.
Can't tell he's a gingerbread man.
Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that base coat. It just needed to be a little bit more opaque. So we're going to establish a whole bunch of shadows here fairly quickly. And much like I did with the first one, I do things in increments. So we're going to start with the first shading. I'm using a little bit of berry cobbler for this. I love this color. And it looks so good on top of this pink. So I'm going to use my 5/8 angle for this because we're going to be working in some smaller spaces. And as usual, I brush this out. I don't want this color full strength. I want it quite transparent. And I'm going to start right in here. I'm going to go right over top of that. That lamp black. And in here to shape that little bowl on the inside of our tulip. And I'm going to shade right up against our forward petal here. I think that color might be just a tad strong. I'll pull some off. So whenever you get a float that's a tad strong, a little too harsh, a little too dark, just take a wet angled shader and float into it. And you can pull that excess color off fairly easily. I got a little heavy-handed with it there. That's better. There we go. I didn't want it that strong. So there's a center vein in this petal here. It curves because it forms a bowl or a cup. So we're going to put the shadow on the inside and come up towards the tip of the petal. Just going to stop a little shy of the end of the flower. Like so. So there's our first shading. That curve establishes that that petal bends this way. And this one in here, this little shadow in here, this one establishes that this forward petal folds and wraps around this one.
There we go. I think we got a gingerbread man. He's not running.
Yet.
But he does throw, looks like hearts.
Oh, glitter. Renee's playing with the graphics. And he has white eyes.
It's Bob.
It's a Bob.
I found a Bob.
He found a Bob. So this petal back here, this one in here, wraps around this one in the back. And then it comes down to about here. This petal continues in here.
What medium do you often add to your water to help you float?
I don't add a medium to my water. I don't use water when I float. I use this. This is Joe Sonia's Fast Dry Glaze. I show you. I love this stuff. It helps the paint become very transparent. It flows smoothly, and it also slows the drying time a little bit. So it lets me work with the float. So if I need to blend, if I need to fix it, if I need to remove it, it allows me to do so. So I'm going to, most of the mediums that we used to have, flow mediums or floating medium, I should say, not flow mediums, floating mediums that we used to have available to us. I don't think DecoArt sells anymore theirs. They used to have one called Float Medium. They're just essentially a water-soluble oil, a very lightweight water-soluble oil, and it just helped keep the paint, so it acted like a conditioner. Keep the paint moving smoothly. I've always preferred working with a medium like this one because it actually is in the paint. It's not in the brush, it's in the paint. And so it extends and works with the paint's chemistry. So it just allows you to work a little more with it. So by doing this, we have established where our petals are. So this petal is in front of this one, actually tucked inside it. This one is in front of this one. This one is in front of all of these, and this one wraps around this one. So we know where everything is placed. So I have separated all of my petals nicely and established where they are in the pecking order, so to speak. I'm going to shade that a little bit. Now, the nice thing about all of this is because, see, I've got a wonky one. I can work with my base color. So if anything gets a little too overworked or gets a little too dark, I can just pick up some of my base color. So I've got a line showing right here, and it is showing up on camera. You can see it. There's a line there. I'm not really keen on that. So what I did was I took a little of my base color, which is that baby pink, and I loaded it onto the heel of the brush so that I can do this. So I can eliminate that harsh line or that border without getting rid of my shadow altogether. So that float remains in place, but I got rid of that ugly little line that I wasn't happy about. And it's easier to do it on the heel of the brush because you can work from the edge of the float. So there's just clear water on this end and the more opaque color on the heel, and it'll bury that ugly line.
I saw somebody had a question about different types of mediums, but They were wondering about the sheen that it leaves behind.
This one, the fast dry glaze, it leaves a little bit, but it's negligible.
Yeah.
And I can eliminate it.
How do you get rid of it?
I just put a coat of matte medium over everything.
Oh, there you go.
I love matte medium for that. I can balance out my
when
sheen.
I'm using it, what am I doing wrong?
Not a thing. That's just, give it a good shake before you use it. I will say that. It does have a flattening agent in it. So make sure you give it a good shake before you use it. But no, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the nature of the medium. But you can get rid of all of those little shiny spots and whatnot towards the ends. I get them too. If you look at the way this moves under the cameras, I get them too.
Then you hit it with matte medium.
Then I hit it with matte medium and it goes away.
Boom.
Yep. Goodbye. So we're going to work on this one because this petal is going to establish all of that shape for us, that nice bowl shape. Right now it just looks big and flat. So I'm going to take my berry cobbler and I'm going to float into that curve like so. It's not a pretty float. And use the heel on my brush to soften that out a little bit. So now we have a curve, but it still looks flat. So we need to create a shadow at the base. Now, if you've watched me paint before, when I'm painting those little round leaves, I'm always telling you, put that darker shadow towards the base of the stem, base of the leaf, where it joins the stem, and put a nice dark float in there and let it curve. And it creates the illusion that the leaf is curved. We're going to do something similar with this. So I'm going to switch to a bigger brush because it's appropriate for what we're going to do next. And I'm going to load it with that berry cobbler. And we're going to float the bottom of our petal, I should say, with a nice wide float. Again, not neat, not pretty, but there it is. So we've established a darker value at the base that gives us the illusion that this is curving a bit more, but we need to deepen that because it needs to gradually disappear. The bottom of this petal needs to gradually disappear. So I'm going to do that again with another dark float. So your first shading establishes all of the shape and the position of all of those petals. And then the second set of shadings, this is where they start to establish all of those nice deep shadows. Now I'm just using a little bit of berry cobbler to deepen. But then I'm going to freak you out and we're going to use asphaltum. And it's kind of scary. But scary's good. So I've got nice deep shadows. They're going to get deeper, don't worry. So berry cobbler and asphaltum. So I'm going to pick up some berry cobbler. I'm going to thin it out a little bit so it's not full strength, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum. And it's going to make a dirty kind of purple. And this is where I get to, again, deepen the base of that. You wouldn't think it would work, but it does. Works beautifully, as a matter of fact. And then I'm going to do it again, coming up the middle here. Use that whole chisel edge of the brush. Don't be afraid to lay that brush down. I don't worry about those little bits. I've got had a mop brush here a little while ago. There it is. And I've got another line that I'm not happy with, but that's okay. I can make it go away. The other color that we have on here is a little bit of lamp black. And I love this. Berry cobbler. Blend it out on your palette. Pick up a tiny bit of lamp black. It's going to make a deep purple, deep purpley pinky color. Well, let me show you on the palette what it looks like. Right there. Sort of that deep purpley pink color. And this is the color we're going to go in here. This is going to be a really nice dark value in here. I love this color. So I've got to bring that up here.
Okay, that's strange.
What's strange?
I'm just going through your YouTube content here, and you got the same thing uploaded like 4 times.
Okay. So the nice part about working with this little brush mix of that berry cobbler and a little bit of that lamp black is that you can deepen your shadows. It becomes quite transparent, so you can deepen these shadows with a lot of control. And I like putting layers and layers and layers on because then I've got control over these colors. And then I like just tapping the chisel edge. I'm going to put in a few little textured spots. Like so. Oof. I need a smaller brush. I switched to my 3/8. My 1/2 inch isn't working for me today. It is going to look a little rough for a bit, and that's okay. Oh my gosh. Telling you, some days couldn't paint my way out of a wet paper bag. There we go. Good gravy. What's wrong with my brushes today?
Is there a difference between... Yes. Yes, there is a difference between the 2 types of memberships.
Yes. One, I'm not sure what the price is. I think it's like 6 something. $5.99, $6.99, something like that.
Yeah.
That one just gives you access to the videos, to the membership videos.
Yeah.
And the other one entitles you to quite a bit more.
Quite a bit more.
Yeah. So you have access to videos, live classes, free patterns, challenges. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Whole bunch.
Well, that explains why the CPM is low.
So I have a few little veins in this. I'm using that brush mix that I just made with that thin little bit of lamp black and that tiny little bit of lamp black and a little of that berry cobbler. I'm just putting in a little float to establish a vein line or a pattern in these. And it's just a tiny bit, just to create those lines. And then I'm going to use that same color to create some folds in these petals. Oh my gosh. My fingers aren't working. Maybe that's what it is. Good gravy, Marie. There we go.
So the 12 Days of Christmas pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Is that available now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
I did not know.
It's on the front page of the website.
Right.
Back to my big angled brush.
Where can I buy a Maxine mop brush?
Maxine's Mop?
Yeah.
The brush guys.
The brush guys. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'm having issues today. So, I'm just about there.
The problem with using project thumbnails of the actual project
Yeah.
is those images aren't protected where her logo is.
Yeah.
So that way we don't run into issues with people just stealing the video right off of YouTube and claiming it as their own.
Yeah.
So that's why I stopped using the actual thumbnail of the project. It doesn't look as good, and it's not really that easy to navigate, but it protects her content.
Yeah.
So, and we've already had a few instances that I've got it sorted out. Last time I was on, Miss Dot wasn't feeling too well. How is she doing? She's doing just fine.
Yep.
She just had an upset stomach and...
Yeah, she had a sketchy tummy there for a bit. She's doing just fine now.
She got a vet visit, getting a vet visit on Monday, so...
Yeah. Just her usual checkup.
Yeah. Some shots and some pets.
Yes, treats from the vet.
I'm going to make sure she gets out of the cart this time and actually gets weighed. I'm pretty sure she's...
Chunky?
a little hefty.
A little hefty, yeah. She's not chubby, though.
No, she's not.
She's got a lot of muscle on her.
Yeah.
From hauling that wheelchair around. She seems to be doing just fine. But because she's in a wheelchair, she has some things we've got to watch for.
Sores and stuff like that.
Yeah. So we have to take care of our puppers. My husband is her primary caregiver during the day. So needless to say, she's very spoiled.
Oh. Yes, she is. She's so spoiled that every month somebody sends her a box.
Uh-huh.
A goodie. Filled with toys and treats.
Yeah. Believe me, Dot wants and needs for nothing.
No. That dog is doing just fine.
Yeah. She deserves it, though. She's a good girl.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad when the neighborhood kids bring her presents.
Yeah.
We had a little boy rapped on her door one day. He brought her a toy.
Yeah.
Because he thought she needed a toy.
Even though she does not need more toys.
No.
She's got 2 baskets worth now?
Oh, yeah. Well, I threw out some the other day because they were just
I
looking.
might have to go through them again.
Yeah. But, yes, Miss Dot is a very pampered pooch. But she loves the neighborhood kids. And he's what? I think James is what, 6? I think
6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, he's 6 or 7. He's a sweet little boy. Anyway, he wanted to give her cookies, but we limit what she eats because her tummy gets very testy. So we don't really like people to just give her treats. So,
I'm so glad for the YouTube replay.
yeah. I'm glad for the replay too, because it gives me a chance to fix the things I screwed up. Yeah, I messed them up. So I've got, I'm okay with the shading the way it is, but there's quite a few things that I would want to clean up, and which I will, because it gives me the opportunity to. So for the next few steps, I need my round brush and I need an angle, and we're going to start building some highlights. I'm working with a little bit of light buttermilk. That's going to be our first highlight. And this is where I get to clean up a few things, because these edges and whatnot get a little ragged. So if you watch carefully, I float down that center vein, but then I stop where that shadow is, and then I pull that out.
I knew somebody was going to ask that again.
What's that?
Your painting table, is it wood or covered with something?
This is an old military desk, a metal one actually, with an arborite top, and it was ugly. So I ordered half a dozen rolls of repositionable wallpaper, and yeah, so it's MacTac for better shelf paper, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so I rip it off and refinish it every few weeks, but because it gets a little ratty looking, but it works like a hot damn, I gotta tell you.
My dad just told me that his dog has a deteriorating vertebrae.
Oh no.
He'll need wheels soon.
Aww.
Well, all I can say is go to handicappets.com and order yourself a walking wheels cart.
Yeah.
By far, it's super lightweight. It folds up, easy storage.
Yeah.
It is
goes in the car easy.
By far the best amount of money I've spent on my dog.
Yeah. And they're not as expensive as some.
Yeah.
And you know, they're easy to maintain.
And parts are readily available.
Yep.
So.
And that makes a difference. Believe us. So I'm just using that first highlight is just opposite all of that shading that I've done. And it's just a little bit of that light buttermilk. And this, again, is just going to help us establish the shadings, the edges, the turnovers. It isn't super pretty at this point, but it's getting there. And I tell people all the time, don't expect or don't try to get it all done in one go. Do it in little steps. You'll be happier in the end.
Linda. Hey, Renee, how about spinning the wheel?
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, because two things. I have to make a trip to the necessary.
Gotcha.
And you can spin the wheel.
All right. Give me 1 second. Phew. Got ourselves 188 names. Can't see the wheel, eh? Give me 1 second. There we go. Got the wheel now. So how many names we got? We got 188.
Holy smokes. The wheel is packed.
Yeah. Wheel is packed. And yes, I really hope they can hear us.
Oh.
Because last time we did the wheel thing, nobody heard us.
That's true.
So I don't know if they can hear
They
us.
love the fireplace.
Oh, good.
I'm kind of partial to the fireplace myself.
Yay, we have sound.
Oh, goody.
All right. So everybody cross your fingers.
They like your gingerbread man, too.
Oh, good. I like the gingerbread man, too. It's a bob.
It's a bob, yes.
You know how hard it is to find one with white eyes?
Did you have to
That
make one?
It wasn't too creepy.
That wasn't too creepy, yeah.
Right on. And first one is Mr. Edward Hensley.
Yay! Awesome. It's been a while since Edward's won something.
No kidding. Right on. Mr. Edward Hensley's getting something. I don't know which one's which, though.
Let me see. It's written on the envelope.
What is it? No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Flip it over. Flip it over. Oh, maybe the label buried it anyway.
All right. Off to the next name. Spinning. Spinning. And we got ourselves a Elizabeth Barden Allard? Elizabeth Bardern Ballard? Allard? Bleh.
Bardern Allard. Nice.
Bleh. That's a mouthful. Yay, Elizabeth. Is it 2 L's? Yes. There we go. They get one of those. I don't know what it is.
Well, they're, I thought I had marked them all. Some are art stuff bags. Yeah, that's a Be Kind bag.
It's Be Kind bag. Oh, okay. Those ones were marked.
Okay, the Be Kind. Well, it didn't seem relevant to.
Those ones were marked. Who do we got in the chat? Oh, we got tons of people in the chat today. 188 names in there. Spinning for a Be Kind bag.
Yeah.
Bag of goodies.
The Be Kind bags are full of Tombow stuff. So there's mechanical pencils, there's specialty erasers. My knock eraser is in there. And some other little goodies.
All right, and the winner for that, the first one is Lois Ann.
Lois Ann. Right on.
You get a Be Kind bag. So, Edward Hensley and Elizabeth won the Dynasty Pro stencil brushes.
Yes.
Right on. Last one.
And one more.
And don't worry, if you don't win this weekend, there's a pretty good chance you're going to win something next weekend.
Yeah, we have
Based on the amount of prizes we have,
yes.
somebody's going home with something. All right.
Yeah, we have
Quite a bit.
we have a few. Yeah, there's a few. So, have we got a name?
Oh, God. Miss Deb Antonick.
She gets a Be Kind bag. I think she already got everything that's in it.
She probably does.
Yeah.
We'll see what she says. Do you forfeit? Does Deb want to give it up? Is she even here?
I don't know. Oh no, actually, I think she might be at a craft sale this
She
weekend.
might be at a craft sale.
Either way, Miss Deb. I will send Miss Deb a Be Kind bag.
Right. And don't worry, if you don't send us your shipping information within, what was it, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2
Yep.
weeks. It does get tossed.
It
back
goes
into
back
the box.
into the box. By the way, when I was doing all the prices, there's still about 6 or 7 unclaimed envelopes
Oh, yeah.
that have to go into that as well. So,
Wow.
yeah. So it's
All right. I'll put
Okay.
Deb Antonek on there. I didn't see her.
she, like I said, she might be away today. So
Nah, all right. I know some of you have won multiple times, and you've been kind enough to
yeah.
let us respin. So
And that's fine, but there's no obligation to do that.
No.
You know, it's just chance that they win in the first place. So
all right. So hopefully this wheel is gonna get full come
next Saturday? Yeah, I'm hoping.
I think we're gonna be seeing 200, 250 names on
That'd
that
be
list.
nice.
That would be nice.
Yep.
So, gonna be lots of chances to win.
Oodles.
Oodles.
Somebody asked me the other day what oodles was.
Poor Judy Thacker. She's been here every weekend.
God love her.
God love her. Has yet to win a prize. And she's been with us
Since the beginning.
since the beginning.
Yeah. Poor Judy.
I really hope she wins something.
I
on the
do
third.
too.
'Cause that-
If she doesn't, we're going to have to do something about
yeah,
that.
because if she doesn't win anything on the third,
Yeah.
then, fate is against her.
I would say, yeah,
Just
Lady Luck is jealous. I don't know.
all right. I guess we got to go back to painting.
We do. So I took the opportunity to clean up a little bit because, Lord have mercy, some days you can't paint. I'm having one of those days. Oh, we all have them, but thankfully, I have the technology. I can fix when I screw up.
We can make him better.
So I've got my first set of highlights in, and they're fairly rudimentary. Don't beat yourself up too much about doing, getting these absolutely perfect highlights, because really it doesn't matter. I'm taking a little bit of asphaltum, and I'm just going to go in and deepen a few places because I like nice deep shadows. And I like the asphaltum over top of this because it's a nice warm tone. And it gives me a nice deep shadow without making things look heavy. So I can get those nice warm shadows. And don't worry too much about any, like these little areas. It's going to look a little messy for a bit. That's okay too. So this is a number 5 round. And I'm going to get a little bit of...
Can you rig the wheel for her? I cannot, actually.
No, unfortunately.
The only thing I'm allowed to do is put names in, and then it just...
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So the fun part about this part is that I'm using a little bit of thinned warm white. And this is just done with really loose strokes of warm white. And I'm following the shape of that leaf. I've got a little too much paint in my brush. I need to thin just a little.
Which decoupage did you use? Gloss, matte, or photo?
I used matte. You can use the matte medium. You can use, I recommend that if you're going to be doing any kind of image transfer, use a matte version. You're going to be happier with it in the end because you're not fighting against it. So I'm using a little bit of thinned warm white and a loose stroke. And I do mean thinned. I'm not using this color full strength.
Is it true that if you're on Facebook and YouTube, your name doesn't go in twice? No. I'm sneaky that way.
Yep.
I pay attention, or at least I try to pay attention. It has happened. I have put some names on twice. But I try my best to not put the same name on there twice.
Yep. No, we want everybody to have an equal opportunity to win something, so remember what I said about this being more painterly and less toll painted. This is where that comes in. I'm using just strokes of warm white coming from the edge of the petals to create that texture that you see in the petals.
You could do one spin with nothing but Judy's name on it.
Or we could put Judy's name in 55 times, you know.
The problem is it doesn't spin if you only have one name.
Yeah. So we'd have to put it in.
You have to put two names in there.
Yeah.
And with
Judy's luck.
With Judy's luck lately, it probably won't land on her name.
Poor Judy. Don't worry. We will take care of our Judy.
Just watch. It's going to be one big prize. That's where the luck is going.
The fates are just waiting for the right opportunity. That's all.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Her name will get pulled one day.
One day.
And it'll be a big one.
I hope so. Dedication should be rewarded.
Absolutely. Dedication should be rewarded.
Yeah. So I'm just using a little bit of that thinned warm white on my round brush. And I'm just stroking in some highlights. Nothing too perfect. And I'm following the shape of the leaf. Or the petal.
Bunny ears.
Bunny ears.
Bunny leaves. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah, you did. Bunny leaves.
Bunny leaves.
So, but this is also my opportunity to clean up and sharpen a few things. So I like to use that thin warm white for that. So wherever you've got these, perhaps the edges aren't as pristine or as pretty as you would like, that's where that little bit of warm white comes in, that you can clean that up. And that's also your highlight. It's very thin. It's watered down a lot. And I like that I can pop some in wherever I want. Those little stripes all joined together, And if you get it a little overworked, like I managed to do right here, you can come back in with a little bit of that baby pink and just overstroke it. It's the nice thing about working with your base color is that you can overstroke things. So whenever they start to look a little overworked, grab some of your original base color on the dirty brush. And this is where you get to throw in a little bit of that base color to fix up anything that's perhaps looking a little sketchy to you. Now there's a petal in here. I want a little highlight right there. And now it's time to tone a few things. Now there's a whole bunch of little shadows and folds in this leaf here that are looking a little messy to me. So I'm going to grab my extra fine detail liner and a little bit of that lamp black. I'm going to thin this out quite a bit because I want to clean up a few little details. Things get a little messy when you're doing all of this floating and all of this brushing in of color. And there's a few little things that need to be nice and sharp, that look their best when they're nice and sharp. And that's these little folds and flips in these petals. So I like to come back in with my liner and a little bit of that lamp black, and I'm just cleaning up those edges a little bit. And it makes a world of difference. And we also have a couple of shadows here. Remember that little shadow? I want to clean this up a little. That's when I absolutely love my extra long detail liner, because I can get into those little tiny places with accuracy. It has a really nice sharp point. And it's that high contrast in those little tight spots that makes all the difference. So we have a little flip right here that needed a little shadow. There's that nice sharp point. And we have a couple over here too. I want nice sharp lines on the edge of that petal. Get that little shadow under there.
Okay.
What's that?
Apparently Deb is watching football.
Oh, not by choice, I imagine.
No, she's watching football. She says, guess what I'm watching though?
What?
The tight ends, of course.
Okay.
I'm old, not blind.
So that little thin line in all of those deeply shaded areas, whatnot, look what it does for that flower. Everything just gets nice and crisp and clean. And we get nice little detail. I got a couple of spots here where I need to clean up because it's driving me crazy.
That's a 10-aught.
This is a 10-aught extra long detail liner. It's a Dynasty Micron. These are my favorite liners. I love them. It's like painting with a sewing needle. It's just great detail. So I want to, just to deepen up a few little areas. I'm a firm believer that it's not always about the highlights. Sometimes you have to deepen all your shadows, which is what I'm going to do here. There's a few little shadows that need cleaning up and deepening in a few little spots. And particularly in here, I want nice dark shadows. But I don't want to lose that color. You got to keep that color, so I'm using a transparent layer. And I've got a little bit of that lamp black. I've heavily thinned it because I want to darken this spot right here really nicely. There we go.
Did I see your question about the 12 days of Christmas? Guessing not. Let's see if I can find it.
12 Days of Christmas is next Saturday, 12 noon, Eastern Standard Time. We're painting a Home for the Holidays piece.
Okay. Robin Storm is wondering if during the 12 Days of Christmas, if one of us wins, can you take the name off the wheel so everybody still has a chance to win?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
we can
do that.
That seems fair.
I agree. We certainly can do that.
What else did I miss? Dawn Lavelle. Oh,
Hello, Dawn.
Dawn Lavelle. Yay. What do you got? I got a new puppy. Uh-oh.
Oh.
A French bulldog.
A Frenchie.
You got a Frenchie.
Frenchies are so cute. So I'm just cleaning up, deepening a few little shadows, elongating a few little things, deepening some floats. I just like to go around and clean up edges, make sure things are sharp and precise. I like shadows.
How do I make him stop puppy biting? You don't make him stop. He's trying to play.
Yep.
All you want to do is teach him how hard he's allowed to bite. You want to teach him bite mitigation. And that's as easy as making a loud noise as if you got hurt. He will stop.
Yep. So, background. We need to lift this flower off of the background. And I'm doing that with a little bit of asphaltum. Now you can establish this right at the very beginning when you first put your line drawing on. You can go around and put a float of asphaltum around everything. I like to do it, you can do it before, you can do it after. If you're doing it after, it gives you an opportunity to clean up a bunch of things too. And it also gives you an opportunity to balance things according to how the rest of the piece looks. So if the flower is darker, you don't necessarily want a heavily dark shading around it. But if the flower is lighter, in this case, we can use the asphaltum to make the flower pull forward, which is what I'm doing. So I'm just using a float of asphaltum all the way around. Doesn't have to be much. I thin mine out because I'd rather be able to control it. So it's thinned. And just make sure that the float goes right up against the edge. So that it gives you a nice sharp little contrast.
Oh my God, Miss Deb Bloomfield is on a roll today.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. I wore my bikini bottoms to the tanning bed. The assistant said no dogs allowed. I'm like, what? And she thought my wrinkly butt was a Shar-Pei.
Dab. So that little bit of asphaltum back there just helps set the background back a little. And then you can be selective. I do it first. But then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to be a little more selective about where it's deeper and darker on this second pass. There we go. So there's a couple of places that I like it to get a little darker because I want to draw attention to the flower portion, this bright pink. I'm going to pull a little bit of lamp black and asphaltum mixed in here because it does two things. One, it defines that flower, that little space back there quite nicely. It gives the flower a little more definition. I'm going to soften that with a mop.
Actually got a question here about asphaltum.
Okay.
I opened up a new bottle of asphaltum and it's darker than my old bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Did they change it or is it just my bottle?
It might be just your bottle. I got a shipment of asphaltum in some time ago that was actually not asphaltum. It was burnt umber.
Oh.
And the product had been mislabeled.
Ah.
So do a quick test. If you've got a bottle of burnt umber, put 2 patches side by each. That'll tell you. Or it could just be a difference in the batch, which is not unusual.
It got darker in here.
Well, it's getting dark.
Yeah. Our lighting has changed. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, well,
Let's brighten it up a bit.
so I've just take a little bit of that burnt umber and asphaltum mix. I like that warmer but darker brown. I'm not a fan of just using black. It's too strong, I think. So I just warm it up with a little bit of asphaltum. I've left it lighter on this side because that's our light impact point, and it darker on this side because this is our shaded side. This is the side that is away from the light. So I just like a little bit. Deepen it. And again, I have certain areas where I like that shadow to be a little bit darker.
Okay, that's a new one.
What's that?
Wondering if you can have points to curve and attitude if you wake them up. My husband's dog and I are learning to coexist without him being here.
Ah, okay.
But if I wake Patches, he growls and snaps. Don't wake him.
Just leave me alone.
I don't think you like being woken up abruptly either. Easiest way, have his favorite food handy. If you need to wake a dog up, just stick food under his nose. That's the easiest and calmest way to wake up a dog.
Yeah. Works for Dot.
Works for Dot. You stick food under her nose, she'll wake up.
Yep.
She'll eat.
Yep. Snack, cookie.
But I don't blame the dog for snapping at you for waking him up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, food or a treat.
He doesn't because he's pretty much the same.
Don't wake me up.
Yeah, Renee's not a morning person.
I am not a morning person. But yeah, food or a good treat or something high value.
Yep.
Stick it under their nose. They'll wake them up a little bit more calmly.
And gently.
And gently.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got my tulip finished. I just have a couple of little finishing things to do on the inside of this. I'm going to use my liner again. And I needed a yellow, but it seems so silly to me to put a yellow in the supply list because this is the only place I use it and it's just this tiny little dot. But I used light buttermilk or warm white to add little tiny dip dots to the stamens in here. And they're on the upper edge, just like so, little dots. And then I took that dirty brush and a little bit of that yellow. And I used golden sunset gold. I keep mixing that up. I don't know why. And I just interspersed a few small gold of yellow dots to it. And it ties to this bright green out here. But I discovered that not using the yellow made a huge difference. It just didn't look right. It needed a yellow inside. And that is our tulip. Now for finishing on this one, again, I haven't done the black on the outside, so we'll reiterate that. I used a little bit of lamp black on my brush around the outside edge, like so. That scribbly application actually serves a purpose. I know it doesn't look like it when I'm doing it, but it does serve a purpose. It connects to all those vertical stria in the background finish. So it gives that background a little more realism, that vertical worn wood look. I'm going to grab a little bit more glaze here. I'm going to do the same thing along the bottom.
Disclaimer. If you have a dog who has food aggression issues,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't wake them up with food, especially in your hand. That's just going to cause issues.
Yeah.
So, just a small disclaimer.
So that little bit of black at the edges just ages that wood a little bit. And then the final touch will be go around with the asphaltum again, just to warm everything up. See this one, I hadn't done the background on this. It was just for the painted part. So I'll dry this real quick.
Yes, there's a reason why that is a saying. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Yep. With Dot, though, the only thing we have to do to wake her up is, like, shake that treat bag.
Shake the treat bag, or...
Yep.
Well, if she's, like, dead asleep,
Yep.
it might take a bit to get her up, but...
All you have to do lately is just say, "Where's Dad?"
Yeah, where's Dad?
She was watching the deer the other day run across the road. She was like, "What the hell is that?"
She's seen them before.
I know, but it's just the way she reacts. It's like, what the hell? Why is he out in the yard? Why am I not out in the yard? So we have a hammock for the cats.
Cat.
Cat, yeah. Anyway, Gizmo got in it the other day. It's no longer a hammock.
Because he stretches it to the floor.
Yeah, it's stretched and now it lays on the floor. It just cracks me up.
It's just a rug. Elevated at either end.
Yep, basically.
He's a cat taco.
Yeah. He is, Gizmo is interesting.
I woke up at 4:30 a.m. came to watch Tracy live.
Oh my goodness, why?
4:30 a.m.
Oh my Lord. That's about the time I got to sleep this morning. Well, no, actually, that's about the time I went back to bed.
My cats wake me up with a paw to the head. Is that fair? No. It's really not fair.
Nope. Gizmo wakes me up with whiff, 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 and whiskers. There we go. I'm going to grab my bigger angle, I think. Good Lord, what a mess I've got going on this tabletop. I was in my happy place. And so I have paint everywhere. There we go. Okay, I'm happier with this than I was 2 seconds ago.
Patches, this is your first dog. Okay.
There we go. There. So I'm going to probably add a few stencil details and a little stamping just to finish this off. But I think we're just about there. Almost dry, almost dry. I have a stencil here somewhere. There it is. I hate to leave it unfinished. So I'm going to finish it. So I'm going to grab my stencil. Oh, I'll do it that way, I think. And my black stencil brush.
You going right over the green?
Yes and no. I'm just going to stop shy of it. Because I can, and I can fix it if I don't. sides. I don't want it all that perfect. And I grabbed I went over it a little bit, but you know what? Ta-da! It's a marvelous thing about paint.
Paint over it or make it go away.
Yep. I can fix. And I have stamps that I can finish this off with. The fun part is you're not relegated to doing everything, in a particular order. What would be the fun in that? I like being able to do things as I choose. I can fix things, add to it, take away from it if I want to. I can. That's the fun part about doing this type of artwork, is that there's no real hard and fast rules that require you to do things a certain way, other than what the paint does in order to get a specific effect. But et voila. The only thing left for this is my scribblature. And there we go. Now, you can add to this as much or as little as you want. If at any time you want to, it needs more of this, or maybe I want to add a highlight to that, that broken wood look, there's absolutely nothing to stop you from doing it. So you can putz with this and play with this and, just have a good time with it, because it's just paint. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that says you can't do whatever you want. Now, something I did not do with the first one, but that I'm curious to see how it's going to look. It won't look bad. It will look different, but it won't look bad. I'm going to do a little highlighting to that, that sort of broken paint look at the edge of this. Do a little highlighting. I'm going to do that with my opaque gel pen. Use the Uniball Signo, the white opaque, or the Arteza. Either one. I like the Arteza one a lot. And it's simple. Just a thin white line following the edge of that broken paint look that you just worked so hard to achieve. Like that. Nothing wrong with this. I kind of like that. I didn't do it on the original, but, I can do whatever I want. It's my piece. Just like you guys can do whatever you want on your piece. I just think this is a fun way to finish off something. Now, to finish this before I varnish, because I work with so many different mediums and products, you never know how any of them are going to react to being varnished. So I don't like to take any chances. So I take it out to the garage and I give it a couple of light misted coats of DecoArt's matte spray just to seal everything in before I varnish. It does two things. One, gives me a nice uniform finish to work over top of if I decide to varnish it. And two, it sets all of those different media together so that I don't have to worry about one of them smearing or smudging or running. So that little bit of matte spray just helps you prevent a whole bunch of little issues that you could run into if you were brushing on varnish. And there it is, all done, highlighted with a little bit of opaque white gel. So, I don't know, which one do you like best? I like them both. Either one works for me.
I like the one without the white highlighter on the border.
But again, it's a matter of taste, and you can do either one, and neither one is wrong.
Nope.
But I just think it's a fun way to finish something off.
Right on.
So that's it. La Belle Tulip. Evini. Symphony.
Stephanie.
Yep. She are done. Well, this was a really fun piece. One, it was a fun piece to design because it's really simple. It's just a simple botanical on top of a rather multi-layered background. It's just super easy to do. It just takes a little bit of time. And none of the tools involved are overly expensive. None of them are difficult to find. You can use whatever you have on hand. Just because I worked with one specific set does not mean that what you have won't work. Believe me, it will. Use your imagination when you're playing with a background like this. Here's a really cool idea if you haven't thought of it already. Try using image transfer to put your line drawing on your surface, because that will work like a hot damn too. So that's it for us today. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. It's great to be back in a normal groove. What are you oohing about?
Linda's on the ball.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, just remind us about Tuesday.
Tuesday, yes. Membership. All the members, you have a drawing class on Tuesday night, and we have 6 giveaways for Tuesday night's class. I'm really excited about this. I've been working for the last few years on redeveloping my drawing skills, and I've actually relearned a whole bunch of things that I had forgotten over the years because I haven't done a whole lot of drawing in a long time. And so it was really nice to sit down and put this together for you. Some really interesting, some very basic techniques. And then I've got a couple of techniques that I think you're really going to find exciting because they're going to immediately translate to your painting. So you're going to love that. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. For the members only, part of the membership group. Next Saturday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, we go live for our 12 Days of Christmas. Grab a friend and join us. All proceeds from the Super Chat go to our local SPCA. And we have far too many giveaways. I don't know how Renee's going to manage it.
I've found a random name picker.
Okay.
Rather than the wheel, it just randomly picks a name from the list.
Oh, okay. So good. That's a good idea. All right. So we're going to be giving away, as it stands right now, I've got over 50.
Over 50 giveaways.
Over 50 giveaways for next Saturday. So it's going to be a busy day.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're painting the Home for the Holidays. So if you don't have the pattern or would like to paint along, the pattern is available on the website. We also have the surfaces, although chances are they're not going to get to you before next Saturday, but the video will be up right away after the live, so you can rewatch it at your leisure or paint at your leisure. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have lots of giveaways, and we might actually paint something.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, we might actually paint something.
Which one are we painting? We're painting the center.
The centerpiece. Actually, I'm going to paint all 3 of them, but
not in that one sitting.
Probably. It's
No.
decap. Okay.
No.
Apparently.
That's far too long of a day.
Well, and it's the same. Once you've painted one of them, you can paint all of them. So yeah. No, we're doing the center one. Yes.
The centerpiece.
Yeah. But it is going to be a fun day. That much I can promise you.
Since the class next week will be long, is there any prep work we should do?
If you're going to be painting along, have it base coated black and trace on and base coat your line drawing.
There you
Just the basic undercoats. That's all you need.
Have all the Christmas kits been mailed out?
Yes, they have.
Yay.
Yeah.
Just have plenty of coffee on hand.
Coffee, tea, whatever be beverage. Everything that has, we have literally, I think there's only a couple of orders on the server right now, and those are from this morning. But everything else has been shipped. We have nothing waiting. We've finally gotten all caught up on everything. It took like 3 weeks to get it all caught up, but it is all done. So we are waiting on shipping materials. That seems to be our biggest issue right now.
No, it is. 'Tis the season.
Well, and shipping has been really crazy. I shipped out several boxes this week that went FedEx, simply because There was no other options.
Yeah.
Canada Post, literally, the mailboxes here were full. We had mail to ship and couldn't because there was no way to get it to them. So it was crazy. So a whole bunch of stuff went out via FedEx, and we've got FedEx coming to pick up more this week. But all of the kits for next Saturday's class have been mailed. Then most of them left last week. Yeah. So they should be arriving any day.
Any day. Hopefully before
Saturday. But yes, they should be arriving any day. We've been hustling to get those out of here. So it's been fun.
Yay.
Yep. So I have a little bit of work to do in this one.
Okay.
A few little things I want to clean up. Yeah. Just a few. I have a tendency to do that anyway. All right, guys, that's it for us this week. I am looking forward to next Saturday, and hopefully you'll be there. Grab a friend, grab some coffee, grab a glass of wine, whatever blows your hair back, and join us for our 12 days of Christmas. We're going to have a lot of fun. I can promise you that. And in the meantime, please stay safe. We love ya. See you again soon.
Pet your dog.
Pet your dog.